This edition of Black Nouveau contains a segment from the Finding Work Initiative, supported in part by grants from Goodwill Industries and Manpower.
Miss Debbie Allen.
Next on Black Nouveau.
Good evening and welcome to this pre-Thanksgiving edition of Black Nouveau. I'm Milton Dockery.
And I'm Faithe Colas. We're glad you could join us. We have two Emmy Award winners with us this week, Debbie Allen and our own Adrienne Danrich.
We'll continue our discussion on diabetes and talk with the author of I Want a Father for Christmas.
But first, on a recent program, we looked at the job skills gap, that invisible divide that is keeping many people from good jobs because they don't have the specific skills that manufacturing employers need. Joanne Williams found one Milwaukee high school where small steps are being taken to close that gap.
Using a computer is almost second nature to most teenagers, but being able to fix your air conditioner, that's not a skill most 17 and 18-year-olds think of developing, but they should. What kind of career do you want?
I want to build air conditioners. I want to turn on people's heat and turn off people's heat.
Think that's a good career?
Yeah. I met with the mayor, Tom. I told him that I was going to turn on his heat for him.
And he said?
Call him when I'm ready.
Junior Diamond Johnson is not quite ready to fix Mayor Barrett's furnace. But then again, before she took classes at the School for Career and Technical Education, she had not even thought about that kind of work. Before the career and technical training, did you know any of this stuff?
No, it was new. It was really new. But it's easy though, when you just listen, follow directions.
This used to be Custer High School. Now it's the School of Career and Technical Education. And it's taking one of the first steps in filling that skills gap.
Turn on the fan. I just turned on that fan over there.
It's starting to fill the gap by offering something the chairman of Governor Jim Doyle's Council of Workforce Investment believes is sorely needed in Wisconsin: dual enrollment.
I think a very encouraging thing that we're looking at is what we call dual enrollment, which is filling that tech art void that we have right now in 9 through 12 education. What that really means is that half days junior and senior year, those students that choose to go to a 2-year degree or potentially no degree post high school education, they can at least go part-time to a technical college and pick up those skills.
These students are in, or soon will be in, the dual enrollment program between their high school and the Milwaukee Area Technical College.
What's not to like from that? I mean, you're taking your credits, finishing up your credits in high school, and while you're doing that, you're also starting credits in college. I mean, it's a win-win for me. I mean, who wouldn't like that?
When Custer changed from Custer to the School of Career and Technical Ed, why did you stay? What interested you about it?
I liked the HVAC classes and some of the classes that they had, all the dual credits, and when we graduate, having an opportunity to go to MATC.
Do you go down to MATC yet?
No, I start in January.
What do you think of that?
I'm excited that I actually get the chance to live the high school life and the college life at the same time. It's like a Hannah Montana, best of both worlds, actually. So,
what's happened with technical education, and why do we have this skills gap where employers say we can't find people to do the work because they're not getting the skills that we need to hire? What's happened?
Well, number one is that the level of technology has increased so rapidly that part of the problem is that education hasn't caught up with it. You know, that's why you're hearing today of what they call a STEMS program, science, technology, engineering, and math, and that's what's so critical these days, is to be able to move the children from just basic, you know, which we still need, reading, writing, and arithmetic, but we also need those additional skills that combined and interact with cross-curriculum activities in order to have the skills to do engineering and use of technology. They take a number of their courses here, and then in the afternoon they can actually go to METC and then take those college courses there and receive the true college credit for it, which is really an advantage for many of our kids.
And these students realize that they are getting an opportunity that can make the difference in their lives.
What about your friends who don't go here? How do you explain your classes and things to them?
I just tell them, like, this is something that you can't pass. It's a great opportunity to do everything.
And you're going to graduate, right?
Yes.
No doubt about that?
No doubt about it.
Diabetes is one of the leading causes of death and disability in the United States, affecting more than 5 million African Americans. While there is no cure for the disease, it can be managed, and that's where screening comes in.
You can't fix something if you don't necessarily know it's broke. And not everything's very obvious, like blood pressure. Right. That's why they call it the silent killer. And diabetes, you might not even know it.
This is a biometric screening or finger stick done at MATC as part of their employee wellness program, a first step in flagging for diabetes.
I'll do your blood pressure. Okay. And then I got a little card that I'll put the results on, and then we'll talk about it and you'll be good to go.
In order to do the test, one must fast for 12 hours before the screening. Various things are being looked for.
Squeeze here. Okay, good. Diabetes specifically, when we look at that fasting glucose, it should be under 100, okay? And if we have someone that's elevated, it's not like saying, oh, you're diabetic. That's not the case, but we can refer them to the physician, then depending upon what the results are, say, well, why don't you come see me in another month and we'll see what the results are, and we'll go from there.
And we're joined now by Dr. Alicia Walker from the Cream City Medical Society. Dr. Walker, welcome to Black Nouveau, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dr. Walker, why don't more African Americans get screened for diabetes?
I think it might be just the fear of once they that they would be diagnosed with diabetes, instead of just not knowing that they were going to have it, just the fear of actually being diagnosed.
But Doc, how do we get over that fear? Because if you're diagnosed early, it increases longevity.
Well, then that's where the lack of education would come in. I think if we took our time and became educated about the risk of diabetes, we would be better off.
But when you're talking about something personal like this, you have to be comfortable with the people that are educating you. What role can the religious community play in that, briefly?
Well, I know many churches have a church nurse, and oftentimes they will do blood pressure and help do blood glucose screenings for diabetes, and that is a big role that the church could play.
What are some of the things that we don't do that we should be doing in relationship to this disease?
I would say the biggest thing would be incorporating diet and exercise into our daily activities. Doing things such as purchasing a dog so that you could walk the dog around the block. If you don't feel comfortable in your neighborhood doing jogging, then you could run up and down the stairs if you have a two-family home and, get your heart rate up that way. Joining the YMCA is another big thing.
Now, we as African Americans, we like certain types of food based on tradition. Mm-hmm. Talk about food and how it impacts the chances of getting diabetes.
Well, there is, in many cultures, there's a coordination between the foods we eat and our culture. But I think once we recognize that some of the habits that we have are not healthy for us, we can change them. Many people now are using smoked turkey as opposed to salt pork for their greens and that type of thing today. So I think we are making strides with respect to that.
Now, you're a doctor of pharmacy.
Yes.
Talk about the role medicine plays in this disease.
Well, the most important thing we can do is pay attention to the medications that we are given and the advice that we've been given about the medications. It would not be a good idea to not take all of your medication and things like that in order to try and stretch it out. I would say pay attention to how the medication is making you feel as well, so that you can share that information with your doctor or your healthcare professional.
I want you to talk more about not taking all of the medicine, because folks on a fixed income sometimes may take half of a dosage. Stress the importance of taking full dosages when it comes to this disease.
Well, it's very important because the longer your blood sugars are running high, the more damage it's doing to your body. So if you're having trouble paying for your medications, it's important to talk to your pharmacist or your doctor and let them know, because there are programs available to help people that can't afford their medications.
Talk about some of those programs.
One would be if you let the doctor know about your insulin, for example, that you cannot afford your insulin, there are voucher programs or coupons are available that your doctor can give to you, and you would in turn give that to the pharmacy to help you pay for your insulin.
Does getting older increase the chances of getting diabetes?
Well, it does play a factor, but a small factor. We're seeing an increased incidence of diabetes in the elderly in this country for the large part because our population is growing, and those baby boomers are getting older and they're more sedentary, and we're eating more, and obesity is becoming an epidemic as well. So all these factors are increasing our risk for diabetes.
Now, does it affect young people the same as older individuals?
No, I think the younger people are a little bit more active. However, as I said, as a population, we are getting a little bit more obese. So you are seeing it in a younger population than you have in the past.
So in essence, regardless of your age, get up and move around,
Yes.
become active, and that decreases the chances.
It decreases your risk,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, Dr. Walker, if people want more information, how can they go about getting it?
They can go to our website, www.creamcitymedicalsociety.org.
Dr. Walker, thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Recently, Adrienne Danrich won an Emmy Award as Outstanding Talent in the Black Nouveau special presentation of This Little Light of Mine. Here's an excerpt from her award-winning performance.
They were both world-famous singers who sang classical music and opera. These ladies became famous not only for how beautifully they sang, but also for the racial barriers they helped to destroy.
This Little Light of Mine is a show that I wrote under commission by Cincinnati Opera, and they came to me with an idea of write a show about Marian Anderson and Leontine Price, and I presented them with 3 options of how I could present the show, and one of them was a multimedia performance, which is what you see today. And I chose that format because people learn in different ways. You know, some people like you to talk to them, some people like to read it, and some people like to have things demonstrated. So I figured that a multimedia presentation would be absolutely perfect for what I was trying to achieve. And the show was actually written for young adults. And I found that it has no age limit, no bounds. I've performed it for 5-year-olds and 93-year-olds, so the show has great legs, as they say.
Now, it's true that Marian was born and raised in a neighborhood in Philadelphia that was racially mixed. Black and white people went to the same schools. They learned sitting side by side. Here's Marian in her graduating class picture. But although the students were racially mixed, there were no black teachers allowed to teach at these same schools.
Well, my background as a kid, I grew up singing in my dad's funk band. I made my stage debut when I was 8 years old, and I sang Aretha Franklin's Natural Woman. And from that, actually I got accepted into a performing arts high school. And of course you had to learn so many things, languages, solfege, how to play the piano. And I started to love the classical music. My first song that I ever learned was Virgin Tutto Amor, which Virgin full of love, talking about the Virgin Mary in Italian. And I was just like so fascinated by this music, and it was easy to sing, easier than pop music. And here I am.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls come tumbling down.
Spirituals and classical music go together hand in hand. If you have an ability to sing, you want to sing songs that touch your soul. And spirituals, to me, are simply an extension of the joy that I feel when I sing classical music. And so many classically trained composers compose spirituals. So of course, you know, you have, if I was singing a spiritual at church, you would have a short range, you know, like maybe 5 notes. Well, the classical composers have listened to these songs and they go, wow, I could like put this note in and that note in, I can vary it in this kind of way. So some of the songs that, at least in this show that I've chosen to put on, have to be sung with a little bit of classical edge to them, just simply because of how the composers have written them.
To the walls of Jericho, they marched with the spear in hand. Go below them, ramparts, Joshua cried, 'cause the battle am in my hand. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls come tumbling down. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls come tumbling down.
African Americans have a significantly higher degree of heart health issues. Joining me to discuss a new program aimed at helping some of this is acclaimed dancer, director, and actress Ms. Debbie Allen, and Dr. Lee Friedman, a radiologist who also has a pacemaker. Ms. Allen, tell us about the work you're doing with patients with slow heartbeats.
Thank you, Everett. I'm so happy that you're giving us time. I have a history of heart disease in my family. My dad, my aunt, I lost my Uncle Joe, who was one of the first recipients of a heart transplant from the famed DeBakey team in Texas. And recently, one of my best friends, Armando Zatina, had to get a pacemaker. Pacemakers are historically not compatible with MRI technology. MRI being one of the best diagnostic tools that doctors use for oncology, orthopedic surgeons, you know, just capturing images of soft tissues, the brain, the heart, so many things. I've had 3. And Armando has a pacemaker that is not compatible, but now there is new technology. There is a pacemaker that is compatible with the MRI. And this is something that can really change the quality of life, improve the quality of life for many millions of people. There's 1.5 million people in America right now with pacemakers. Many of them don't have this technology. This is brand new, but we want to inform people, so if this becomes apparent that they need it, they have options that they can discuss with their doctors.
Was it your family then that motivated you to get involved in this project?
Yes, I actually have been involved in the American Heart Association's campaign to inform women that more women were dying of heart disease than breast cancer. So it's not something new for me. It's something that I feel is a responsibility as a celebrity to be a community activist and use my voice and lend my face to causes that might really improve the quality of life for the people that help me do what I do.
Dr. Friedman, you're a radiologist and you have a pacemaker. What do people with pacemakers need to know today?
Well, I mean, before they even have a pacemaker, I mean, I would think they need to realize that they have a choice. When I was told that I needed a pacemaker, I was very reluctant to get a pacemaker because as a radiologist, I see patients all the time who have delays in treatment or delays in diagnosis because they could not get an MRI. Stroke is one of the most common things in older patients, and those older patients are the ones who are the most common ones that have pacemakers. I'm a 38-year-old gentleman, so I have a pacemaker and I'm younger, but I don't know if down the road I might need an MRI, whether it be for stroke or ligament injuries or fractures, cancers. I mean, you don't know. And I think it's important for patients to realize they have a choice to go out there and ask their doctors things. I was given, the information that I needed a pacemaker, and I basically said, no, I don't want it. And I said, when are you guys going to get a MRI-safe pacemaker, or an MRI pacemaker that can be used in an MRI environment? And my doctor said, funny you should ask that, because 3 weeks ago it was released. And at that point I said, sign me up, I'll take that one. I recommend it to all my patients. I recommend it to my family members. I mean, to me, if you have an option between getting a pacemaker that can go into an MRI and one that can't, I would take the one that can go into an MRI, because you never know if you're going to need it. I go in there as a patient. I've been in there as a physician taking care of patients, and as a dad. My 9-year-old daughter needed an MRI, and she wanted her dad to hold her hand while she was getting the MRI. And that meant the world to me, that I could still do that even though I had this pacemaker.
That makes good sense, and you're also talking about preventive medicine. In our community, though, many of our folks aren't able to do that. What suggestions would you make?
Well, one of the most important suggestions I have for the community for heart health, period, is your diet. You know, if we can stop eating so many red meats, take dairy out, eliminate fried foods as much as possible, lower the alcohol intake, drink a lot of water, leafy greens. These are simple things. So some of those other things in moderation, but not every day. If they would go onto the website, jointhepacemakers.com, they will learn a lot about what the options are.
I would also suggest that patients, be their advocate. I mean, too often in medicine, patients feel like they go into the doctor and they just have to do whatever their doctor tells them to do. And that's not the case. There is information out there. There are places like jointhepacemakers.com to go to. There's a lot of good information, a lot of bad information out there. But I would suggest patients do research and then go and ask their doctors questions. There's no silly question to ask your doctor. You'd rather go in and ask a question, have the doctor, at least confirm or, at least allay any fears that you have, but talk to your physician, because they're your advocate, but you have to be your advocate first.
I do have to say something to Ms. Allen in the entertainment field. I want to thank you for your work on A Different World. I don't think you get enough credit for what you did behind the scenes in reshaping that show so that it better reflected historically black colleges. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're so welcome. We tripled the enrollment of historically black colleges with that show, and it's still in reruns, is getting a lot of young people wanting to go to college.
Thank you both very much for joining us on Black Nouveau.
Thank you, Everett, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Last year, we interviewed Monty Mabra about his play, Voice of the Fatherless Child. This year, he's back to discuss his new production, I Want a Father for Christmas. Welcome back, Monty.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tell us about the play. What's it about?
The play is about the children's desire to have a father, and we're tackling the issues of mothers not understanding the child's need to have the father. And basically, I've seen situations where the father comes around on holidays, birthdays, Christmas, for instance, and he has a gift, and the mother says that gift doesn't make you a father, and the avenue for the relationship between him and the child is severed versus, saying, okay, we're going to see where this leads to, and giving them a chance to build a relationship with the child.
Fatherless or fatherhood issues are really important to you. Why is that? What's been the inspiration for you to produce these kinds of productions?
I deal with being incarcerated myself and not having my father, and I was absent in my son's life for most of his life. So, and I hear young men talk about their fathers all the time and how they don't really need a father and how they try to elude child support. And when I was younger, all of those things made sense to me. But when I was younger, but as I got older, it sounded comical, like you don't need your father. You can make it without him, and you don't want to pay child support, and it just didn't make sense to me, and it was comical hearing it. So it was different being on the outside looking in versus being on the inside looking out. And I think it's very important. It's just like a cake. If you bake a cake without sugar, it's not a very good cake.
This is true.
So a child without a father is missing an ingredient. So,
how can people find out more information? Tell us when the play is going to take place and where it's going to take place and how people can get more information.
The play is going to take place December the 3rd at Christian Faithe. We're opening doors at 4 o'clock because Home Depot, one of our sponsors, are doing a free Christmas drive where they're passing out hats, scarves, gloves, and doing toy workshops with the kids and taking pictures with Santa and Mrs. Santa. But the play starts at 5. The address is 8605 West Good Hope Road, Christian Faithe. I know a lot of people are used to the productions being held at Destiny, but we're expecting quite a few people this time, so we're going to hold it at the Christian Faithe Sanctuary.
So there's something special about getting tickets for this play. What kind of special program do you have?
Well, we have a single-parent Christmas drive. So what we do is we take the tickets for the play and we trade them for toys. And those toys that we receive, we actually put it into our single-parent Christmas drive where we go into the home and we decorate the home. We set up a live tree and we pass those gifts out to the children, a gift card to the mother. Then we go outside the home and decorate the outside of the home, giving them a full Christmas experience.
So it's really a great opportunity for people to participate in the whole Christmas season.
Yes.
And give back at the same time.
Yes, it is.
So how can I get tickets?
How can you get tickets? You can bring a gift to Christian Faithe December the 2nd, and you can receive a ticket, and that's how we're doing it.
Okay. And is there a phone number that folks can call to place their order for tickets, or a website or a Facebook page?
Yeah, the number is 414-306-2107. We also have a Facebook page. It's Voice, and it's a combination of words. Voice of Many. Of Many is one word. Voice of Many.
Wonderful. Thank you, Monty. Look forward to seeing your production.
Thank you for having me.
Before we close tonight, best wishes to you and your family.
From the Milwaukee Public Television family for a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
And that wraps up this edition of Black Nouveau.
Remember, in the coming week, do something to expand your world. Good night.
Good night and be safe.
This edition of Black Nouveau contained a segment from the Finding Work Initiative, supported in part by grants from Goodwill Industries and Manpower.